Summer Utah Wells is still missing. She was reported missing from the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, Tennessee, June 15th, 2021. She likely stood about 3.5 feet tall and weighed around 40 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She also had a shaved head, has blonde hair and blue eyes, and was last seen wearing a pink shirt and gray pants. She was believed to be barefoot. Anyone with credible tips, call 1-800-TBI FIND or email tips to tbi@tn.gov. Summer is believed to be close by. Something Pruitt says that bothers me is sorry, my husband doesn't understand when I'm trying to record something. He just thinks I'm on my computer and doesn't realize that I'm actually trying to record something right now. So now he knows. But something Pruitt says that bothers me is they think she was trafficked. She was not trafficked out of the area. They don't think she was trafficked out of the area. It's a fear of mine, so his wording bothers me. Why did he have to add out of the area? I think it's most likely because he was talking about thinking she is close by. But listen for yourself to how he says it. He says they have no reason to believe that Summer has been abducted or trafficked out of the area. Wow.
Would probably be somewhere close by.
Summer is found, it will be nearby.
I believe that she would probably be somewhere close by, because we found nothing to lead us to believe that she's been abducted or trafficked out of the area.
Pruitt works alongside the TBI and FBI. Along with the ground search, Pruitt says investigators have poured through data.
So that was April 4th of 2022 when they came out and said that. And they think they have nothing to lead them to believe that she has been trafficked out of the area or that she's been abducted. So that leads them to believe that she's likely close by, which leads me to believe that they might be looking into foul play, but they don't want to say that. Who knows what we'll hear on June 15th this year. If Ellie thought there was a possibility she was trafficked in the area and they didn't want us to know that because of the investigation, I don't think he would have said that at all. But maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I don't want to think about Summer being trafficked. It's terrifying. It makes me beyond angry. I know it does everybody else too. but I know it happens a lot more than people realize, and it is really bad there in Northeast Tennessee. But we can't just put that on Summer. We just can't. But his wording does concern me a little bit. It stood out to me a lot the first time I heard it. But so if Summer's close by, that would make sense with Candace not having anything to fit into that couple hours of time in her timeline, because that's when something happened to Summer, probably. Candace always gets so flustered whenever questioned about that. That 4 to 6 hour, that 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. hour, that time frame is a subject that I see Candace avoid and deflect from. And I've witnessed people protect Candace from having to answer to that. Why? That's a very important piece of time. What was going on in the 4 to 5 o'clock hour? And then what happened between 5 and 6 o'clock? Where were you, Candace? Were you outside, inside, in Grandma's camper, on a walk, on a run, down the holler, at a neighbor's house? Were you taking Hunter home? What? Investigators have reason to think Summer is close by. They wouldn't just say that on a whim on the news. They obviously have reasons that they think that, probably aside from that there's no sign of abduction and that they have nothing to lead them to believe that she's been trafficked out of the area. I feel like they have more than that, but they just didn't want to, they won't give specifics. They never will. That likely either means they think she is, trigger warning, they think she's buried somewhere, likely close to home, or her body has been placed somewhere nearby, in my opinion, or that she's been trafficked in the local community. So if Summer is likely nearby, based on what investigators believe to be true, based on what they think and know, how can we guarantee she won't or hasn't been moved? Especially now that they've made it public. Their media manager, Tim Mullen, probably let them know about that if they hadn't heard for themselves yet. You know what I mean? The people, whoever has done something with Summer, likely heard that on the news. Detective Pruitt say that. They should believe she is probably close by. So if somebody has done something to Summer and she is, and they kept her close by, then that probably freaked them out a little bit. And it wouldn't surprise me if somebody were to make an attempt to try and move Summer after hearing that. I would really hope that the police have some kind of surveillance on them, at least, and on those woods surrounding their property. But do they? So people that are funding suspects are possibly funding that too, the moving of Summer. That's actually really concerning. It's not far-fetched to think that Summer's remains could be moved if she is passed by anyone that was paid to move something they may not have even known what they were moving. Suspects could use that money to run, to hide, to remove or destroy evidence, to get high. They can use it for all kinds of things that are probably not something you would support if you knew what they were really using it for. Look at Oakley Snow's mom. Someone funded her to run. Someone likely funded many suspects in other cases too. But what's unique to Summer's case is that it's all over YouTube. Her parents are suspects. They are all over YouTube. They have left their home and the whole state that Summer went missing from. They have turned down all the help they've been offered. I'm truly surprised they even went on Dr. Phil. And to be honest, I think that was an attempt to just make themselves look innocent to the nation. Hence the new pink room that Summer hasn't even ever got to see, that she thankfully won't ever have to live in because it's just a pink dungeon now. People are probably funding them getting high. If that's really what you want to spend your money on, you're in a free country. Those of you that are across seas, you probably are too. And what you want to do with your money is your business. But when it comes to funding suspects, just know what all you could be supporting. As another creator pointed out the other day, you could be funding the transport of Summer's precious remains and anything that could happen to them thereafter, or paying someone to. And also, I might add, you could be funding the people responsible for Summer's disappearance to run, as they are currently suspects as far as anybody in the general public is aware. So why would you want to support the very people that law enforcement believe to be part of the group labeled suspects in Summer's disappearance and possible death? I'm genuinely asking. And what do they need all the money for? What did they do when they had 4 kids? They didn't have food stamps or anything, so what did they do then? I guess they made it work. Or maybe they didn't, and that's why all of their kids are no longer in their custody. Summer's case on YouTube is mostly a big production put on by Summer's parents, the people that co-sign their bullshit, and people talking about them and the things they have said and done. Which, of course, people are going to talk about that because it's Summer's parents. So everything that they say, people are going to listen to and talk about in case it ever pertains to Summer or her case in any way. And sometimes, I just observe their behavior and tendencies is why I mainly watch them, to try to get a better look into Summer's life, what her life was likely like with her parents on that hill. For me, that is, I can't speak for others. Don and Candace have created a story and told it to us on YouTube, in my opinion. And their daughter, Summer, is missing in real life. And there's a real story as to what happened to her. And we're only getting bits and pieces of the day from her parents that we don't even know if they're true. Why? Candace, where were you at 4:30 p.m., June 15th, 2021, around the time Jody and her kids heard an animalistic, but not an animal, real funny kind of scream? Were you in your house watching TV? Was that after you planted cactus and did laundry, or before? I don't understand why it's so hard to remember those details from those couple of hours, but you remember pretty damn clearly what happened at what time and where you went in what order for the whole rest of the day. You remembered very specifically when talking to Chris McDonough. You even corrected what Hunter told him in a very as a matter of fact way. So why is it so hard for you to remember what happened between 4 and 6 p.m. in those 2 hours? When did Summer eat cereal for lunch? Because you said she ate a hot dog for breakfast. So did you bring cereal with you to the swim hole and you fed Summer while you were out? I never heard it mentioned before, but as time goes on and no new information is given, barely, then people start to ask about different things. And one of the things I'm wondering about is, did you make dinner too? Or was that the tuna casserole that grandma supposedly made? Did she eat that at 5 o'clock, or do you know when that was? After grandma woke up from her nap or what? People are genuinely trying to help Candace figure out the timeline, because if we can work together to figure out the timeline and Candace can remember a little bit more detail about the day, like more specifics, maybe we can come up with something new that we didn't think of before. And given Candace truly wants to find her daughter, Summer, she would try a little harder in some areas, don't you think? I feel like Candace would have only just forgotten what happened around that 4 to 6 hour time frame if she was so heavily intoxicated that she didn't know what was going on. Then I can see how she wouldn't know what happened between 4 and 6. But if she would give us some new information to work off of to help her, that would be great. If you have nothing to hide in regards to Summer's disappearance, then quit hiding what was going on in those couple of hours. Let us know what was going on. Even if you think you might get in trouble for it, what if it could help find Summer? Maybe someone can actually help you. That's considering you're being honest about everything and you really don't know what happened to Summer. So if that's the case, what was Summer doing? Was she inside playing with her toys the whole time? Was she down in the basement? Or maybe she was out on her swing in the yard where she would never walk off from. What were your boys doing this whole time? Were they stuck to their devices, half asleep and half awake the whole time, or did they interact with Summer at all? When did they see Summer walk away from her home? Was that shortly after getting home, or was that truly around 6 p.m.? Are you really that conveniently bad with time? Because I grew up surrounded by country folk and they all knew what time it is, especially farmers. They always know what's up. But obviously Candace is not one of those type of people. So did any of the boys go outside to play during this couple of hours between 4 and 6 p.m.? Do you know? Were you even there? I'm trying to envision June 15th, including the children and grandma and everyone. I'm trying to envision the hill between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on June 15th. Were there any visitors on your property that you do know about? Around what time, or do you know if there's any visitors on your hill at all that day? Was Hunter there at your house at all on June 14th or 15th? And did you maybe take him home a lot later than you told us before? Because that would account for a chunk of time. I'm just trying to find something that maybe you might have left out that would make sense. I'm curious about things that Candace might take as hating on her, but I'm not. I'm not asking these questions to hate on Candace. I'm just saying maybe she did lie to all of us here on YouTube, and maybe she really did only tell law enforcement the truth, like she told Daisy on a live not too long ago. She said the only people that know the truth are law enforcement. So she lied to everyone else then? Because she says she already told all she knows about June 15th to everybody, including the police. But the only people she told the truth to was law enforcement? Okay, so that means you lied to everyone else. Why? Why not come out and tell what you really do know and what really did happen to everybody then? Don't you want people to know the truth so they can help you the best they can? It just doesn't make sense that Candace is innocent in my head and I can't get over it. I cannot make it make sense to where she would be innocent. She says she told law enforcement everything, and that's all we need to know. Okay, so did law enforcement ask you to keep those couple of hours a secret? Because I just really doubt that. I can't help but I can't find the clip, but I know it exists, or it did exist at one time, of Ronnie Lawson saying Candace needs to work on her timeline because there's 3 hours missing. He said something along the lines of, ask her what she was doing for those 3 hours before Summer was reported missing, but in more or less of his own words. Does anybody else, please tell me somebody else remembers that. It was forever ago, probably within 6 months of Summer going missing. We see pictures of Summer smiling and dressed in pretty dresses with big bows on her head. I can't say in her hair because her hair was shaved all the way off. I noticed they only used those big bows while her hair was shaved. They didn't ever use those big bows when she had hair, almost like they were trying to cover up her bald head. We see pictures of Summer playing outside with her brothers and on her swing, and she seems happy in those moments. Does that mean she had a good and easy life? Or that she was happy all the time? No, of course not. I also see a lot of pictures of Summer that concern me. I think most of you know what I mean without me even having to say it. I also see videos of Summer that concern me. I think we can all agree on that too, right? Does that mean Summer had a bad and hard life? No. We can only assume based off of what we observe and how we relate to it based on our own experiences in life. We're not the law. We just love Summer and we want her to be found. When I see a black eye on anybody, I have to wonder where it came from. But when I see a black eye on a little 3 or 4-year-old girl in a photo taken a year or so before she went missing, and other photos with bruises on her face even closer to when she was reported missing, like within a month or so, yeah, I'm gonna wonder about that. I want to know why she looked so bruised up all the time. I get that she was a nature baby and loved to play in the dirt and was rough and tough, but it's not normal for a little girl to have a big black eye like that. I'm sure it will be blamed on the boys if it hasn't already been. Poor Summer. Bruises all over her face. Especially when I know about her parents' history with DV and abuse, then I really wonder. And I'm not the only one. We all see it. There's several examples. Don shows extremely violent tendencies. So, it's concerning. Candace shows extremely neglectful tendencies, in my opinion. But even considering all of that, that's not even why I think Summer's parents are guilty of her disappearance. I think that because of their own behaviors and everything that they have done and that they have and have not said, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance as far as I can see. Their first interview on WJHL was chock full of every single shade of red flag available. No, I'm not law enforcement. Don't bother saying that to me, please, for the millionth time, I know. But I'm allowed to state my opinion, and I just couldn't see how they don't have some guilty knowledge after everything I've heard come out of their mouths. Some of us assume there was definitely abuse, and others say there's just simply no way there could be. That's not fair to Summer to say that you know for sure either way. Do I think there was abuse going on at 110? Yeah, I believe it. But I would never state that as a fact because I have no proof of that. However, I feel the way I do for a reason of my own, not because anyone persuaded me to think that way or based off of anything other than the words that have come out of their own mouths and the actions that they have taken themselves. I just observe and remember the things that stand out to me. And you gotta wonder, why did all those things stand out to me? What does it all mean? So put 2 and 2 together in your own head. I'm going to look closer at other things after seeing photos like that. Photos of a missing child that has injuries to her face on separate occasions directly leading up to her disappearance. How many coincidences can there possibly be? I'm also going to wonder why someone would take a video of their 4 or 5-year-old daughter laying in a chair like that outside in the summertime, looking hot and tired and uncomfortable as hell. Summer did not look like she wanted to be being recorded at all. She looked really tired and grumpy. She had a pouty face and she was trying to cover her face with her arms and hide from the camera. And it just seemed very strange that Candace would continue recording. It was off-putting, but Candace took it, I assume, and it exists now. And the position Summer was sitting in and the angle the camera was at, I'll say it was inappropriate, whether Candace, who I assume was filming, realized it or not. And it bothers me. You can't assume because there are a lot of pictures of Summer smiling that means she was happy in her life. Look at the Watts family. They had a dream life according to social media, and we all know that was a lie. Look at Oakley Snow's mom. She posted smiling and happy pictures with her baby girl that was murdered by her own boyfriend, which she allowed to happen. She allowed the abuse so she could get high, and someone supported her financially to run away from it after Oakley was killed in front of her, basically. And she went along with hiding Oakley's little body, and then she lied about it to everybody and ran off, and somebody funded her to do that. How do we know? How do we know Don and Candace didn't just have a better hiding spot for Summer, being that they are in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, basically? I mean, what better place to hide a body? As terrible as that sounds, it's true. That's a very real possibility, and her parents are suspects, and they have not been cleared. Everyone is a suspect. It could have been somebody else. But there is likely that chance that it was Don and or Candace that have gotten Summer gone, and something very tragic has happened to her, and people are giving them money to probably get high, because I'm sure that's not free, and go live states away from the home where Summer went missing from, that they claim she was abducted from, and that they claim they would never leave because Summer could come home one day looking for them, and possibly also money to run off with, for all we know. Not that I think they would be successful if they tried to hide from the law, if they really thought shit was about to hit the fan, but I wouldn't put it past them to try if they thought something was about to go down, or if they feel the heat is getting too hot. I wouldn't be surprised if they did try to hide. And speaking of pictures, one that also stands out to me is the one with Summer with no shirt on right after she just got her head shaved. Why would Candace shave Summer's hair down to the skin like that? And who did that to her? Even if she had lice, or even if she wanted it that way, you didn't have to really take it that far, did you? And you really seemed proud of it. I just don't believe it that Summer wanted it that way. I think the hair was removed from Summer's head for a nefarious reason, because of her parents' own words. Maybe she was punished, or maybe Don didn't like whatever color Summer's hair was colored. If it was blue right before she got it shaved, well, that concerns me, because I heard Don didn't like the blue, and I was always concerned Don made her shave it off because he didn't like it. Maybe she did get a hold of clippers, so they made her shave it because they wanted to teach her a lesson. There shouldn't be a discrepancy on her head being shaved, and there is, and I don't get it. I'll never believe anything they say about why her head is shaved, because they already contradicted themselves once on the news about it, and they even told Robin something different than they told the news. So I just don't believe them. It must be a lie, because all those reasons can't be true. Why are Summer's parents lying so much on her case to the public? That's just one small example. Did they tell the police what they're telling all of us? I think Dawn might have, but I don't think Candace did. She must have left some things out, though, in that 4 to 6 hour window, like she did for everyone else, because the law did not like her timeline. I wonder if they ever got one they approved of. I doubt it. Hence the not cooperating, probably. So, what was the truth that she allegedly told Ellie about that couple hours of time? What did she say she was doing between 4 and 6? Candace made it sound like the only people she told the truth to was the law. Well, then why didn't they like her timeline? But why not tell us too? Why straight up lie to us, the general public, that wants to help find Summer? Even the people that truly believe you're innocent, you lied to them, to everybody. But you claim you told L.E. the truth. Interesting. Was that right away? Because clearly they had a problem with the information they were initially given by Candace. Says a lot. Very frustrating. Aren't they, Don and Candace and Grandma, afraid the police will hear what they're saying on YouTube and question them about it? If Don and Candace told all of social media one story, which is even typed up on findsummerwells.com, even though you can't read it, but then they tell the cops something different, they're not worried about the law hearing them tell us one thing and them another? Ronnie Lawson says Summer walked away from her home and apparently got a little further than they expected. So when he says then they expect a little further than they expected, would that be to say that Grandma was awake? Because if she wasn't awake, it would have been a little further than her mother expected, right? But they say they, which makes me feel like there was more than one adult present, because I don't think they would say that about the boys. But was it actually normal for Summer to walk away from home? She just normally didn't go very far, and this time they just couldn't find her? The boys saw her walking away at what time? While Candace wasn't exactly paying attention? Don once said someone came up there and got Summer while we weren't exactly paying attention. Why would Don say we unless he was home? So it definitely sounds like the police were told that Summer walked off and they could not find her. So then why would Candace want us to think Summer was in the basement and not want anyone to know that she was seen walking off? I can't get past that. Probably because she would have seen where Summer was, and she should have seen where Summer was and been paying attention to where she was instead of putting that responsibility on her boys for an unknown amount of time. Clearly, because they're kids, and that is a very hazardous property and environment to leave a 5-year-old child alone in for any amount of minutes and not expect something bad to happen. I question how long Candace was really gone for, and where did she go? I wish we knew what time Summer's brother saw her walking away from her home. That would be good information. And I wonder if the boys knew, if they were paying attention to what time it was when they saw Summer walk away from the home, and I wonder if they told the law that, just out of curiosity.
Evidently, she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory and sort of an area you're sort of
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area? That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how
So, if they're telling the police that Summer was abducted for sure, which Don says he was trying to tell them, and it was like nobody would listen to him. They were just one-track mind focusing on them. But if Summer was dragged off the hill and put into a car and drove away, then why are they saying she walked off? The law is not coming out and saying the parents strongly believe she was abducted, but there's no evidence of this at this time. No, they say there's no sign of abduction. We have nothing to lead us to believe that she was abducted. The cops, however, do relay the information that the boys told them about Summer being last seen walking away from her home. And they relay that, what the boys told them, but they don't relay the information that Don and Candace tell them. That's interesting to me. A lot of people defend Don and Candace because they think there was someone lurking in the woods that took the opportunity to grab Summer when they saw her outside, or something along those lines, which is possible. I don't personally believe it, because I think someone would have noticed somebody out there, and I think Summer's scent would have been tracked further, and I think the card team would have probably noticed something. I don't think there was a car down there waiting while they came up and got Summer, somewhere close enough where they could easily get her to that car and out of there quick enough before anyone noticed, without anybody noticing. Someone would have noticed. Maybe that was the red truck. If that's the case, I just can't get past thinking Don and Candace know who it was and that it was somebody from Tucker. And they probably know why they took Summer, if that's the case. Was there someone in the woods that met up with Summer after she walked away? Was there a lurker out there that just happened to take the opportunity when he saw it and put Summer in their car and drove off with her? They would have to have been pretty quick and left no evidence behind for the card team. If that is the case, then why all the lies and tricks from Don and Candace? Because they know who it was and why, or because they're just that careless about their own missing daughter, Summer? Why the discrepancies and evolving stories if she really was abducted? Why no sense of urgency for their own missing daughter, Summer? Why are they not accepting help from so many people for so many things? Because they're guilty, in my opinion. And I personally don't support their habits around a child especially. And I definitely don't support sending them any money at all. I know all people are different, handle things different, but this is beyond that, in my opinion. June 15th, 2021 has only one truth. 4 to 6 p.m., June 15th, has one truth. It shouldn't be that hard to remember. Don says he was at work all day, claims to have had no actual interaction with Summer at all the day she went missing. He did say he woke up next to her with her foot under his back and he was all uncomfortable, in his words. But he can't remember his last actual memory with her where he actually interacted with her. He tells different stories about that, and that's always bothered me. How do you not remember your last memory with your daughter, Summer, where you actually interacted with her? Was it something bad, and that's why he, quote unquote, cannot remember? Because he really does. He just doesn't want to say because it's something really bad. I wonder what it is that makes them suspicious to law enforcement, like what they really think in their head when they go home at night. It's a red flag in my book, honestly. The fact that Don can't remember his last memory with Summer. He only thinks he knows what it might be. Speaking of red flags, Don also talks about Stockton, California, and all the terrible things he saw while he was there. He says there was a loading dock where there would be large deliveries of pure coke brought in. Trigger warning, very sensitive subject matter ahead. If you didn't already notice, which I'm sure you have, but this really is not meant for tiny ears. He says there are places there in Stockton where they sell kids. He says he witnessed it, but at the time he did not understand what was going on. Don tells us stories like this like he's bragging, like, look at all the crazy shit I've seen. Well, you're not one-upping anyone, Don. You're making yourself actually look really bad. And quit picking up minor girls on the roadside and trying to get into their homes. And then go tell everyone like you're proud of it. It's pretty weird. And it's extra. And I don't know if I even believe it. Also, you should have understood what you were seeing, Don, if you were witnessing minors being trafficked. You were an adult. You should have done something about that. You were street smart and a criminal by that point in your life. I don't believe you would witness something like that and not be able to realize what was going on. If you can so easily realize it now, what was the problem before? What made you so educated between then and now? People on here or just in hindsight? What happened to Summer Moon, June 15th, 2021? What were you guys doing between 4 and 6 p.m.? Where was Summer? Did she eat between those hours? Where did she eat at? Grandma's? So what time did Grandma wake up? Then you make yourself sound like a bad person sometimes, and something awful has happened to Summer, your daughter, and those of us that think you're guilty, at least, I can speak for myself. I don't want to think that you've done something awful to cause Summer getting gone. I don't want to think Candace has either. I don't want to think that either one of you would cause Summer to get gone on purpose. But when you constantly make references to terrible things in regards to what you think happened to your daughter, Summer, publicly, it causes a lot of people to think there's a likelihood that those things are actually or have actually happened to Summer. And we don't want to put that on her. If you would tell what you really know about between 4 and 6 p.m. on June 15th, that could make such a big difference in finding her, in my opinion. You just say things that really blow me away sometimes. The circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance remain actively under investigation by multiple agencies, including the TBI, FBI, and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, working jointly together on Summer's case. The circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance remain unclear as far as the public is aware at this point in time, and this case is out of the norm according to TBI. If they cannot clear her parents, surely they cannot rely on what they say the circumstances surrounding her disappearance were. TBI says nobody is more frustrated than them. They also say nobody wants Summer found more than they do. What about her parents? Why weren't they there for the pressers? Why did they quit cooperating with law enforcement? What changed? At one point in the beginning, Lawson said they were cooperating, and it was too early to tell if there was foul play. Then some months go by, and Lawson says they're no longer cooperating, and it sounds like they think there may be foul play involved, even though they didn't come out right and say that. And Lawson said they have attorneys. Law enforcement also states that they don't know what changed, why the family isn't communicating with them like they were in the beginning, but wants to let the family know that at any time they want to talk, their door is open. So, why the falling out? LE is your best bet. They should be your biggest hope in finding your missing daughter, Summer. So why stop communicating and cooperating with them? What occurred to cause the law to determine they were no longer cooperating? I would love to know. Don Talks on the News, which aired July 19th, 2022. He says Summer was last seen going down to the basement, no mention of her being seen walking away from her home. Maybe the boys were told to say they last saw Summer walking down to the basement, even though they actually last saw her walking away from their home. Why would Don and Candace tell the news and everyone else Summer was last seen going to the basement, but the boys tell police she was last seen walking away from her home? That really bothers me. Don says they were surrounded by drug dealers and the meth thing was really bad around there. He claims a neighbor saw people parked at the bottom of their hill doing meth. How does that make it so bad because one person was seen down there possibly doing drugs? And how would they know for sure that it was meth? Lawson says it's not a drug area, it's a quiet dead-end road. Maybe Don and Candace were the ones with the drugs. That's what I think. Don tries to throw shade at everyone, but Ronnie Lawson says everyone in Summer's case is a suspect, and that includes Don and Candace and Grandma.
Dawn Wells tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her three older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the three older. Tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her three older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Dawn Wells at work.
So Grandma and Candace were just standing outside facing away from the basement door for a couple hours, just standing there, or what? Like, that's a long period of time that they're talking about here, and they're making it sound like it's only 2 minutes. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't add up.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement or if she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Wells says he believes someone was lurking at the top of the dog trail, just feet away from the basement door.
So he really wants us to believe that there could have possibly been somebody in that basement that was laying there in wait for Summer to get home. I really don't believe it. Like, if it was, it had to have been somebody that they knew. How would they know if there was anyone there or not? They have so many cars on the property. And you can't tell me none of those dogs were there and that they wouldn't have been barking, that Jody or somebody wouldn't have seen a car parked down there somewhere or noticed somebody out lurking around in those woods waiting and watching for somebody. Somebody would have noticed that. I just don't. It's such a slim chance. So, I have so many questions, and I just want to know what was going on between 4 and 6 p.m. Because if they got home, okay, the milk jug picture was taken around 3:09. Then they go on and they get home within about 5 minutes of that picture being taken, which I remember somebody went out and somebody actually checked the landmarks of where that photo was taken, and they went and they saw that, yes, it was about, like 5 minutes from her home, if that. So they get home within about 5 minutes. So let's say it's about 3:15 when they get home. All right, then they either have a lot of groceries or a very small amount of groceries. It's hard to tell because Hunter says they were in there for a while, like maybe an hour in the grocery store at Priceless before they came home. And Candace says she was only in there for 5 minutes. Yet Candace also says when they get home that there's enough groceries that they had to be taken all inside with the help of the boys and Summer and Grandma, and all the groceries were then sorted out and taken to the proper home where they belong. So then she was obviously in the store for more than 5 minutes, right? Hunter was probably being honest. And then, so they take Hunter home around 2:30. They get home around 3:15 or whatever and put the groceries away. Say that takes about 15-20 minutes to do all that, 15 minutes or so. So that'd be like, 3:30, 3:45. Then they want to do the transplanting of the cactuses pretty much right after the groceries, from what it sounds like to me, because Candace is standing there in the kitchen doorway with the door still open from bringing groceries in, and Summer's sitting there playing with her toys, and Grandma's standing outside still. So I don't feel like Grandma would still be standing outside this whole time after just getting back from the hospital and a long day out with Candace and Summer. She probably would have went inside, right? Because she was tired. She got ready to lay down and take a nap. So she must have seen Grandma standing outside of her trailer right after putting the groceries away, right? Right after taking Grandma her groceries and everything, which is when they did the cactus, because Grandma acted all surprised, like, oh my gosh, we need to do this right away. So she was like, I know who will help. And she went and got Summer and asked her if she wanted to plant pretty flowers. So Summer jumped right up from playing with her toys, came out, and they did the cactus. Now, you can't tell me that took no 2 or 3 hours doing all that. There's no way. And if Grandma took a nap, there had to have been some point in time where she walked away from planting cactuses and you guys were already done while Grandma was still awake. So it couldn't have taken that long because Grandma gave Summer a peppermint and then you all washed your hands or whatever and then got the peppermint. And then Summer wanted to go back and play with her brothers in the house. And then that must have been around the time when Grandma wanted to take a nap, right? So what time was this? About 4 o'clock then? By the time they were all done with all that? So what, did Grandma lay down around 4 o'clock or so? And then is that when Summer went inside to play with her toys or whatever, to go play with her brothers? They saw her walk downstairs and go to play with her toys. And then Candace was like, watch your sister. And she went over to Grandma's to help her fix her knee brace for 2 or 5 minutes. And then Grandma must have fell asleep right after the knee brace thing. So after all that happened, what, did Candace go on a walk or a run that she does not want us to know about? Or was that at what point she took Hunter home, maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that makes sense, that fits in between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on June 15th, 2021. And I could think of about a million things that could have happened between 4 and 6 p.m. I'm just trying to decide what sounds the most likely. And unfortunately, it's hard to because Candace isn't really giving us any good details. They're saying Grandma was taking a nap, but they're also saying she ate some leftover tuna casserole that Grandma made. So when did Grandma wake up and get food out for Summer? When did she eat her dinner? What did the boys eat that too? Did they all just kind of sit wherever? Did they eat outside? Like, how does Candace not remember those kind of details? I just don't get it. In my opinion, it's because she's not being honest. That's just, it is what it is. She's just not being honest.
And is the family still cooperating? I know you said obviously Don's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now.
Ongoing investigation.
And is the family still cooperating? I know you said obviously Don's there, but like the mother and all those other people, are they still cooperating?
No, they're not cooperating right now. They haven't turned.
Meanwhile, today marks the second
All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all showing up for Summer, our Appalachia princess. And I want somebody to, if they ever have a chance to ask Candace, next time they have her on a live, ask her about the 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. 2-hour window of time on June 15th, 2021. Try and see if you can get her to remember when Grandma woke up, what they did for dinner, and what was going on between 4 and 6. Really curious about that. All right. Again, thank you for being here for Summer. I appreciate you all. And I hope you have a blessed day. Hug your babies tight. Keep your crown on straight. Have a good day. Bye.